Hi folks, and welcome back to another fly tying tutorial. What you see in the vise is a variation on the famous Snatcher pattern. So without further ado, let's get into it. The hook in the vise then is a Hanak H330 barbless hook. This one's at size 10, it's finished in bronze and it's on a medium wire. The thread I'm going to be using today is from Simplify. It's Nano Silk at 50D or 12/0 if you like, and as you can see it's black. As always, with the nano silks, we're going to just get a touch of super glue onto the shank of the hook. Now, I've started to tie up a few patterns like this. Hopefully later on in the season, I'm going to be travelling up to Scotland to fish with my old pal Jock Kettles for a few days. And I haven't got many patterns like this in my box, and thought it prudent to make sure I was well armed. I'm going to bring that Kit Kat cup home this year, I hope. I'm sure Jock would have something to say about that. Okay, the next thing I want to do then is catch in my wire rib. Now this is Simplify, it's 0.01 copper wire, and I'm just going to catch that in at the top of the body, and I'm going to run that all the way down to the bottom. Now snatchers are they're great fun to tie, and you can do all different things with them if you want, but I really enjoy doing this one in particular, or I would do if I wasn't fast running out of jungle cock. But there we go. So for the body of this fly, I'm using Chinese Dragon. This is a dubbing mix from Fritz and Flash, and I've already got some in my hand here. It's a kind of orange mixed in with yellow. Lots going on, lots of variation, and I like this. It reminds me of Scruffy dubbing, which is still my favourite dubbing on the market, if you can get your hands on it, that is. So I'm just going to add that, and I'll bring that around the shank of the hook. Now you can use different dubbins. If you don't have this particular dubbin, I'm sure a normal hare's dub would work just as well. Now what I want you to note is how much space I've left between the eye of the hook and where I've finished my body up here. Now the next thing is the palmer, and what I'm using is just a normal ginger cock cape, and I've already selected a feather from the cape, and I've trimmed away the waste here just to save a little bit of time. It can be quite a time consuming fly if you haven't prepared your materials. So what I want to do is the underside of the feather is going down onto the body of the fly, and I'm just going to grab a couple of turns, tying it right in at the head. I'm going to bring that and just bend it so it's sitting out for the shank of the hook at a 90-degree angle. Now I've got the palmer tied in, and I want to get several extra turns in at the front of the fly. Then with my hackle pliers, I'm just going to grab the end of the feather, and then I can use my rotary function on my vise just to bring that around the fly. Now it's up to you how you like to have your spacing. I find the more turns you put into your palmer, the easier it is to float it, or certainly slow it down in the water column when you're fishing. Snatchers are great flies for fishing on the washing line, because they tend to stay quite high in the column for a lot longer. So I've brought that all the way to the bottom, where I've got my wire rib here ready, and this is where you need about 6 pairs of hands. So catch in that corner, and then we're going to bring our wire rib up through the palmering. Don't be worrying if you're catching a few of the fibres into the body. Nobody's going to shoot you for that, and I don't think it will make a great deal of difference to the fly. So I'll catch a few turns over the wire with my thread, a couple of turns in front, and then keeping tension on the thread, I can twist away my wire and then come in with a pair of sharp snips and just take away your excess hackle. Just stroke it back with your fingers. You want to make sure that's going in the right direction. Now the next thing that's going to go on is some partridge, and as you can see my partridge cape's on its last legs. I need to pick up a new one, but capes, especially things like partridge, well any capes for that matter, I tend not to order online blind because I want to see what I'm buying. Unfortunately I'm going to miss the BFFI this year, so I'll need to sort something out anyway because I do need a few capes. So I've got a partridge feather here. I'm going to catch the tip with my hackle pliers, like so, and just bring that down so I've got like our Christmas tree. Once I've got that in place, I can come in and take away the bulk of that, but leaving a tag to catch on. Now it's always better if I'd remembered to add some beeswax to my thread, but I forgot, but I think I've got away with it, to be honest with you. So I'm going to add it now, because there's more to come with this. And then you can use the handle you've created by stripping away the excess rubbish at the bottom of the feather, or if you're anything like me, you'll use your hackle pliers. Once you've got it started, sweep everything to the rear of the fly. I'm only looking for 2 or 3 turns of this, to be honest. Just adds a little bit of variety of the hackle. Now obviously it's quite floatable already. Floatable, is that even a real word? You know what I mean, it will be very slow to sink in the water because of the hackling and the palmering. But if you really want to ensure that it stays high in the water, a little bit of gink on the fibres, and you can fish this like a dry. So I've caught that feather in. Still got plenty of room at the front there, which is intentional. Now keeping tension on my thread, I can snap that away, and I've got my first wing in, if you like. Next I'm going to add in my second hackle, and this is a Greenwell's cape that's been dyed picric, and I've already picked out one of the larger feathers, if you like, from the cape. Now what I want to do is catch the tip of that cape with my hackle pliers, and I just want to get the Christmas tree effect, if you like. So just about managed that. Now before I tie it in, I'm going to just reduce this to a little triangle. Get a couple of turns just to hold it into place. I'm going to bring that all the way around, like so. Then you can use your fingers, it is big enough, but I always like to come in with my hackle pliers, a little bit more control, and sweep the hackle back from the stem. You want that to wind round. Now the first turn there, you can see it's mostly black fibres, but I do want to get some of them yellowish tips in. So I'm just going to keep sweeping it back as I go. And then catching your feather, couple of turns, release your hackle pliers, everything back out the way. Now you don't want to use a lot of turns here because we have still got to tie in our jungle cock eyes. So once you're content it's in place, you can simply pull that away. Just play about with the feather until it's sitting how you want it on the hook. Now the cheeks, what I've got here is, it's a very old cape this now, and the best of the feathers are all gone, so I have picked some of the very small ones that were left at the bottom, but mostly a lucky salmon fly tyer will get this cape, because I don't do a lot of salmon flies, so it kind of has reached its the end of its life. So I'll tie in my side first, and I think the picret dye on the jungle cock really takes well, and you get quite a vibrant colour from the eye. Now I should have mentioned that I already pre-stripped the rubbish from the eye, the hook. I don't want all the fibres. That's not always the case, should I say. Sometimes that's exactly what I want. I want the extra guard hairs on the jungle cock can add its own little bit of value to the fly. I'm just coming in with my snips and removing the excess jungle cock. Now I've got it where I want it. I'm going to get to the eye of the hook and then start to build up a nice head. And the thing with the nano silk is you can keep your head nice and small. I'm fairly happy with that. Just check your side, looking pretty good. Then if I can uncover my whip finish tool from underneath the rest of the rubbish that's currently my tying bench, I can finish the fly off, and that's just snapped away nicely. Now it doesn't always snap away nicely. Usually you're left with a wiggly little bit that's a bit of a pain, but that's looking no bad, as they say up the road. So just to finish off, this time instead of using UV resin, I'm going to just touch it with some super glue. Now you can use a cocktail stick or a dubbing needle if you like. I've actually thinned the brush down on my super glue, so I can just apply it directly to the fly, and there we go. That's a little variation on the Snatcher pattern. If you're going to fish high in the water, this is the badgers you want to be using. Snatchers are perfect for that.